Welcome to the latest episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. This is episode 164, Staying Active During a Busy Holiday Season. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Real World Nutrition. I am Shelley, your host and registered dietitian nutritionist. And today I'm talking about how to stay active during the holiday season, which is a time when a lot of people find it's easier to let exercise slide, or maybe it's more challenging to stick to an exercise routine. Now, first up, I want to address this aspect. Yes, this is real world nutrition, and I do talk about nutrition a lot. That is my job. But in the same vein, physical activity and exercise are part of this equation. So I've mentioned in the past, and if this is the first time you're hearing this, I'm saying it now, I teach sports nutrition. So talking about physical activity in conjunction with nutrition it's pretty much impossible not to talk about this. I just tell students physical activity and nutrition, or diet and exercise, are two sides of the same coin. You can't really have one without the other. Obviously, you can, but when we're talking about optimal health, they both are part of the equation. So, I am talking physical activity today and how to navigate that in real world situations. So, as this is recording and dropping, it is November, right before Thanksgiving. The holidays are coming up. We've got colder weather. We recently had the time change in most states in the United States, and what people call shorter days, which I argue the days are the same length. It's just daylight is less because that's just how things go in the Northern Hemisphere this time of year, whether we change the clocks or not. In most cases, we have colder weather. Again, this is different based on where you live, but it's cooler weather. And there's packed schedules. It feels like there's more going on than usual. So staying active can feel like it's an impossible task. And people are like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to restart in January after all this is over. But today I want to share some realistic ways to prioritize movement without adding stress to your life, and also want to emphasize this. In all the years that I've been doing this, I've had clients come in, and every time they see me or when I work with clients, they're like, things are busy, things are hectic. I'll do better when things are less busy, less hectic. But it repeats itself week after week after week. Because I ask people this, and let's acknowledge this. Our lives are hectic. Our lives are busy. My husband has said, I choose to make my life complicated. I do enjoy having a full schedule, and I know how to prioritize that. But let's be realistic. If you have kids, you're going to have things going on all the time. If you've got pets, you've got to deal with them all the time. If you have parents, even if you don't have any of those, you've got things going on in your life. And most people find that is a busy schedule or a hectic schedule year round. So while the holidays may seem like a unique situation, if we step back for a moment, maybe it's not as unique as we may think. So again, let's figure out how we can prioritize movement without adding to the stress. So why is this so important? Because physical activity, or more specifically, regular physical activity, is more than just that physical health. There are plenty of health benefits for us physically, but it is also great for managing stress. It's also helps with our immune system. It also helps with our energy levels. And the good news here is being active doesn't mean hours at a time, doesn't mean going to the gym all the time, doesn't mean to have a perfect routine. And I'm not just talking about the exercise session being perfect, but more of week after week. Is it perfect? Maybe not. But finding what works for you. So I want to talk about more about the benefits of staying active. So I mentioned some of these already. Stress management. So this is something I think a lot of people miss, is that taking a step back, engaging in exercise is one of the most effective stress management tools because physical activity triggers the release of endorphins, which is something that helps naturally boost our mood, improve our mood. And I want to emphasize this too. Even something like a 10-minute walk can provide a mental reset, which is especially helpful during the hectic holiday season. In the past, in some of my work that I've done, I have taught stress management classes and how diet and exercise can have a role in stress management. And again, when I say diet, I'm talking about a pattern of eating and not restriction. But this was in a worksite wellness program that I would teach this most often. And I would tell people, even if you took a walk around the building when you were in a stressful situation, removed yourself and took a walk around the building, that's going to help. It's not going to make the stress go away, but it's going to help us manage the negative responses that happen within our body and help minimize those. When we're under a stressful condition, even if it's super cold outside, putting on the hat, jacket, mittens, whatever you need to do, and going for a 10-minute walk can help calm yourself. Okay, so that's just the 10-minute walk is one thing. Other people can just do some, I shouldn't say just do, prefer to do stretches like yoga moves and that sort of thing. What works for you? But I encourage you, when you find yourself in a stressful situation, as long as it's safe to do so, take that 10-minute walk. And when I say safe to do so, not just for your personal health, but when my son was an infant and he was having crying sessions and the nurse midwife told me, well, take a walk. I'm like, well, I can't because I can't leave the baby at home by himself. And I didn't have somebody at that time to help in that situation. So again, if it's safe to do so, but really consider that. Another thing with regard to regular physical activity is our immune support, helping our immune system. So staying active helps with healthy circulation. And the better our circulation is, it helps our immune cells move throughout the body more efficiently. And exercise helps lower the stress hormones like cortisol, which can suppress the immune system when it's elevated. So exercise can help release endorphins and it can also help lower cortisol levels. And movement can also help with sleep quality. So sleep quality is a key factor with immune health. So a lot of people don't tend to think about how exercise can help them sleep. And it's not from the exhaustion of exercising, because if you're exercising to exhaustion, that's not helpful. But it improves sleep. I've had people not believe it, but then they start a regular exercise routine and they're sleeping better than usual. And it's like I tell people, give it a week, see how it goes. But of course, we have those other physical health benefits that most people know, but I'll just remind you of that here. It helps with our cardiovascular health, our heart health, and helps to reduce the risk of chronic illnesses like high blood pressure, reduces our risk of diabetes because it helps lower glucose levels in the blood. I'm not saying it will prevent diabetes, but it can help with managing things or reducing your risk. So exercise has a lot of cardio benefits, a lot of cardiorespiratory benefits, I want to say, because breathing is better for most individuals. And again, many other chronic diseases like high blood pressure and diabetes. Now, this also, I want to emphasize physical health benefits. It helps regulate weight. I want to emphasize exercise is not what helps most people lose weight, and that's a common misperception. It helps with regulating weight, but what we eat has a bigger role in that. But again, want to help this with maintaining the balance during the holiday season. I am not ever going to tell you how many minutes of exercise it takes to burn off a specific meal or a specific treat. And I'll do a side note here. Years ago, one of the local news stations had a story about how many miles you needed to walk to burn off Thanksgiving dinner. And I was part of that news story, and they reran that story for years. And it bothered me so much because it sounded fun at the time. But then when it was done, I realized how it was like, you have to walk a marathon to burn off Thanksgiving dinner. Let's be real. Enjoy the day and let's not put that shame over our heads about that. All right, and then one more benefit, not just one more, but one more I'm going to say for now, is that physical benefit helps with improving energy levels, and that really helps a lot of people see that list of to-dos more reasonable or easier to tackle. I'm not going to say it'll simplify everything. It's not the magic, but it will certainly help with that. So let me talk a little bit about the physical activity guidelines. So we do have physical activity guidelines for Americans. So similar to the dietary guidelines for Americans, but the physical activity guidelines go a little bit deeper. I want to emphasize this. These are guidelines. Some people get offended when I refer to the dietary guidelines, or any of us do. They're like, well, how dare anybody tell us how to eat? All right, this is free country. You can eat however you choose, but they are guidelines to help encourage people with healthier approach to eating. And with physical activity guidelines, it's a way to encourage people to reach some of these milestones that research has suggested is really helpful for our overall health. So what the guidelines are is to aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity per week, plus 2 days of muscle strengthening activities. So let me clarify some of these things. 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week. That's about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And that moderate activity could be something as a brisk walk, a bicycle ride. It doesn't have to be a hardcore bicycle ride. It's not getting on your indoor bike and going all out. It is moderate activity where your heart rate's getting up a little bit. You can still talk, but if you're holding a casual conversation, you're not going hard enough. Okay, that's what we call the talk test. But if you want to do those whole all-out exercises where you're really getting that heart rate up there, that's where the 75 minutes of vigorous activity a week come in. So again, this is split up throughout the week. So 15 minutes 5 days a week, or that could be, some 30-minute sessions, some 45-minute sessions. Okay, so that higher, more vigorous activity counts. And that can be a combination of a couple, you can do moderate some days, vigorous other days. Let's just get those minutes to add up. And then that other part is the 2 days of muscle strengthening activities. So this would be things that help with your major muscle groups. So like your biceps and your triceps and your quads and your hamstrings and those types of things. So muscle strengthening, and everybody needs to do that, okay? We all need to have cardiovascular activity or the aerobic activity as well as muscle strengthening. So again, you don't have to carve out long periods of time, but you can do it in short bursts. You can do 15 minutes throughout the day, and that adds up. That counts. Just recognize that sometimes with the aerobic activity, to get our heart rate up, it may take a little bit longer than 10 minutes to work our way up to that. So just keep that in mind. So again, cardio, that's walking, brisk walking. That could be jogging. You don't have to be a runner, but running counts. Cycling, whether it's outdoor cycling or doing an indoor cycling class. Even dancing are great options. I love dancing, but I'm not in my 20s anymore, so going out to the clubs isn't exactly a thing to do, especially because nowadays the clubs don't even open until my bedtime. So, you can dance at home or whatever it may be. My dogs, no, they get annoyed by me, but I'll make my dogs dance with me. So cardio can help keep your heart and lungs healthy, and again, help with that energy. So it will take energy to do it, but most people feel better and more energized afterwards. With the strength training, that doesn't mean you have to go to the gym and get weights. But if you've got them, if you have access to that, That can be free weights, that could be barbells, dumbbells, machine weights. It doesn't matter. But it can also mean body weight exercises. It can be resistance bands. So body weight exercise, you can do squats without anything. Do squats. You can do calf raises without anything. You can do push-ups. Those are body weight exercises. And resistance bands are something where if you're traveling or something and you want to have something to do, that's one of those travel things. I used to travel with resistance bands and running shoes when I was younger. Nowadays, I'm just happy, I'm actually walking around and doing things when I travel. Again, strength training helps build muscles, and it also helps with our metabolism. So the more muscle mass we have, the more calories we burn while we're at rest. So again, that's where we help our metabolism. So again, these are things you can do at home with minimal equipment if you're not wanting to go to a gym. And that's an important thing. I've had people who say, I don't have a gym membership, or I need to get a gym membership. And I didn't have a gym membership for years because I did most of my stuff at home with videos and equipment I had at home. And I didn't have a lot of equipment. I'm talking about hand weights and things like that. Another thing is doing flexibility and balance exercises. So yoga, Pilates, or even just stretching routines. A lot of the stretches people do are rooted in yoga poses, yoga moves, but if you don't want to call it yoga, no big deal. But this really helps with flexibility and balance. So people don't always think about how important this is, but if you drop something on the floor, you want to be able to bend over and pick it up without struggling. So flexibility and balance can also be one of those activities that can help with a calming effect and again, help reduce some stress. Now, there's some things that we can do that are a combination of those activities. Some group fitness classes, such as a HIIT class, can combine cardio and strength training for an efficient workout. And HIIT is high intensity interval training or just high intensity training. But that's like if you did a circuit at the gym where you're doing some cardio and then weights and then you're moving every 60 seconds or something like that. That would be like a combination activity. So you can have a class at your gym, you can have a community center, you maybe even find things online. YouTube or other things can be very helpful with that. So let's talk about some of the obstacles that may be bigger in the wintertime and the holiday season. Is that the mornings may be dark, the evenings may be dark. It may be unmotivating, not wanting to go out in the dark, which is fine. I understand that. I had to walk my dogs the other morning at 6, and it was still not totally dark, but it was still like the sun wasn't out. There was just a glow on the horizon, and there was nobody out. It was awesome, but it was super cold, so that can also make outdoor activities less appealing. My dogs have jackets. I have jackets, so we will do it 365 days a year. I will say 365 days a year unless it's raining or actively snowing, because my dogs do not like their feet getting wet. So, but you get the idea. So those are just some of those things. There's times where you just can do it. But packed schedules can often lead to skipping workouts. So I encourage people, but this is based on your personal preferences, get it done first thing in the morning. Work out first thing in the morning, and if things go awry throughout the day with your schedule, you already got it done. But let's be realistic. We can break it up. I said that already. So you can't fit in a full workout. Go for 3 10-minute sessions throughout the day. A walk, a mini yoga session, body weight exercises. Do some movement throughout the day, especially if you're sitting a lot throughout the day. And if you have the capability and the room to do so, adapt your environment. So if you have the space to do so, set up a workout space at home. And you don't need fancy equipment. Even if you just have a little space in front of your TV or in front of your computer or in front of even a tablet where you can do videos, and you don't even have to do videos. You can have a yoga mat, you can have resistance bands or even some dumbbells. I have a friend who does massage therapy. She has her massage room, and that's all she has. But she also rolls out a yoga mat so she can do stretches throughout the day. And again, if you're not sure where to start, go to YouTube videos for some guided workouts. There's free options for every fitness level. Don't have specific channels that I'm going to recommend because everybody's got so many different preferences. I encourage you to do some searches. Use search on YouTube. Google is also YouTube, but do a search. 15-minute yoga beginner workout, that type of thing. But also set a schedule. Treat movement like an appointment and block that time on your calendar. So I've said this for years. I acknowledge I sometimes will skip that appointment. But I also acknowledge if I had a doctor's appointment or a client appointment at that time, I would not blow it off at all. So block time on your calendar or set an alarm to do it at specific times of the day so you can take a break. And again, morning workouts can help set a positive tone for the day, help you get it out of the way, but evening movement can help you wind down. But even if it's not exercise where we're getting our heart rate up and our muscle strengthening, do more movement in your daily life. One of the things I did is when I got my first dog in 2013, and I shouldn't say it was my first dog. My prior dog had died, and I said, never again. I'm never getting another dog. I can't handle it. But a year and a half later, I wanted to get a dog to help me with my daily walks, meaning it would be an incentive to go on a daily walk. I got a small dog, yet an active dog. I found the rescue group that had that type of dog. And literally the first thing we did when he arrived at my home is I took him for a walk, and that set the tone. But you may not need a dog, want a dog, or be able to do that every single day. So some of those things, you've probably heard this before. Take the stairs. Park farther away. When I go to Costco, I don't look for the closest parking spot. I look for the one next to the cart corral, and sometimes that's way out there. But I'm not fighting with people for a parking space. But also consider that things like vacuuming or shoveling snow count as movement too. And I was cleaning the top of my kitchen counters or the cabinets this summer. Boy, that was such a workout. I was sweating my behind off even though the air conditioning was on. So even things like that can be exercise or movement. Now, I'll just share quickly some of my routine that I do, but I don't need you to follow this. But recognize that this is just telling you a little bit about me. I do a HIIT class once a week. I go to a place that has this specifically, a resistance band cardio mix that's done in 30 minutes. I do the membership. I do 4 classes a month because my membership gives me 4 classes a month. And I can roll those over, but it's an incentive for me to go do that. As I said, I walk my dogs 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. My husband does the other 2 days of the week. And this is movement rather than structured exercise, but still has benefit. Gets me outside. And I have 3 dogs now. So the first one was deliberate. The second one was just because he needed a place and I had experience with his special needs. And then the third one just showed up one day and never left. So that's that. With regard to being at home, I have resistance bands. I do have weights at home. This has been over the course of years. And I have a setup where I can put my regular bike that I ride outside on what is called a trainer. And it is set up where my regular bike is set up on that trainer. And I have a tripod that holds my iPad. And I can watch things while I'm doing that indoor bike. I acknowledge not everybody can do that, but that's just an example. I didn't buy a fancy Peloton. I didn't buy a fancy exercise equipment. I took my regular bike and set it up inside. All right, so last section here, let me talk about motivation and mindset. Let's do this. Set small, achievable goals. Focus on consistency, not perfection. Even 15 minutes of movement is better than none. Say, at the beginning of the week, I'm going to do 4 sessions of 15 minutes this week. And if you do that, do more, great. Focus on the feeling. So don't dread the exercise, but how great you feel afterwards. And remind yourself that movement is an act of self-care. You're managing your stress. Reward yourself. Celebrate the wins like completing 3 workouts a week. When you set that goal at the beginning of the week, did you make it? Well, guess what? You get a reward for that if you want that. A new book, a new accessory, something cool that you've been wanting. Get support. Have a friend join you for a walk or a virtual workout. Some friends I know, they text each other when they did their workout for the day. Others say, hey, let's do this many steps this month. Find somebody to do it and share your progress with, or have an accountability partner. These are just suggestions. I acknowledge not everything works for everybody, but what works best for you. So let's recap here. Exercise is essential for physical health. It helps with stress management. It helps your immune system, and it helps us navigate the busy holiday season, hopefully a little bit easier. And again, movement doesn't have to be perfect or all at once. Small steps make a big difference. So, with that, this does not just need to be during the holidays, but I do encourage people to help you maintain your sanity during the holidays. So if you would like something to share something with me, I'd love to hear from you. You can leave me a review on the podcast. You can reach out to me through the links in the show notes. And I encourage you to subscribe or follow the Real World Nutrition Podcast on your favorite app so you don't miss an episode. A new episode drops every Friday. Thanks for listening, and I will be back in your feed next time. Take care, and bye for now.